Greetings, it is Monday evening, and now I just got off work and I need to figure out what to eat. So this is what we're gonna make. I found some chicken in my freezer, so I'm gonna put that in some water to thaw. And then I have this frozen rigatoni, so I think we're gonna make that. And then I also have these 2 containers of vodka sauce from Hungry Root. That'll go perfect with the pasta. And then I think with the chicken, I'm gonna do chicken cutlets. So let's grab our breadcrumbs. I don't know what veggies I have. I don't think I have many fresh veggies in the fridge. So we're gonna make some peas on the side. We're gonna have peas, pasta, chicken cutlets. Yeah. Why are you being mouthy? Are you mouthy? Okay, so today's video is sponsored by Hungry Root, and I've been working with them for a long time here on my channel. That vodka sauce that I showed you, make sure you pick that up in your next box because it's so good. But the reason why I love Hungry Root is because it is so convenient to be able to order healthy groceries. They have a ton of different options on their site. So if you want to put together meals or recipes with what they have, you can do that. I focused more this week on getting ingredients to kind of make food around what I already had in my pantry and fridge and freezer. One of the best parts, I think, is that if you choose their recipes, all of them that I have tried have been delicious, and you can make them in just 15 minutes or less, which is perfect for busy weeknights. After you get your box, you can go back on the app or site and tell them what you liked and what you didn't like, and then they will adjust your cart going forward. And they also have a super easy app to use. It's very easy to adjust your order or skip a week if you need to. The thing I think where Hungry Root comes in as a time saver is just helping you meal plan for the week. I think that one of the most stressful parts of meal planning is just figuring out what you're gonna make and putting everything together. And I like how they put a cart together for you, and then you can adjust based on what you want for that particular week. They also have a variety of different diet options available. So if you're dairy-free, gluten-free, whatever you need, they're sure to have that for you. Everyone in my house has something going on right now. We're actually starting spring soccer season, so it's about to get really busy. And if you all are super busy too, and you want to take advantage of this offer from Hungry Root, they're actually offering my subscribers 40% off your first box. Yes, 40% off your first box. That's almost half off. Plus you're gonna get a free item in each box for life. You can click the link below, or I'll also have a QR code you can scan on the screen right here. Just go to hungryroot.com and then use code JEN, it's just JEN, to get 40% off your first box, plus you're gonna get a free item in each box for life. Make sure you take advantage of this deal. Times are tough right now, so 40% off your groceries for the week is an awesome, awesome deal. So to bread the chicken, I'm setting up my breading station here. I've got flour, eggs with a splash of water. I put salt and pepper in there, and then I'll do some breadcrumbs, and then I like to put a little bit of Parmesan in my breadcrumbs, and then I'll also season this mixture with a little bit of salt, garlic powder, pepper, probably some dried parsley. So I think really the key when you're making like any type of breaded chicken or pork is to season all of the components. What I'll probably do is I'll end up seasoning the chicken. I'll leave the flour plain, but then the egg and the breadcrumbs will be seasoned. I've got my water coming to a boil over here for the pasta, and then I've got some oil in here that I'm gonna heat up for the chicken cutlets. Okay, so I took my chicken cutlets and I just put them between a few pieces of saran wrap, pounded them so that they're relatively thin and all kind of the same thickness slash thinness. Season them with garlic powder, salt, pepper, and then I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oil. So after I cooked my chicken, I just sliced that up. That way it's easier to eat and serve with the pasta. And this turned out so good. Everyone in the family really loved it, and I want to make it again soon. Okay, so I'm prepping some veggies and protein for this week. So I went ahead and washed these carrots. I still need to peel them and cut them up. And then I have some salmon here. So this needs to be cooked by tomorrow, or I need to freeze it. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this tomorrow for dinner. I'm planning on doing like a fish and rice bowl with some edamame, mango salsa, probably veggies on the side, but I haven't decided that. Maybe that yet. Excuse me, maybe cucumber salad. Adam does not care for salmon, so I took a couple pieces of halibut out of the freezer and I'll have that for him. I am gonna make a miso marinade to put over this salmon, but I don't want to marinate it tonight because otherwise fish is kind of more delicate, I would say, than something like chicken or steak is. So you don't want to marinate it too far in advance, otherwise it'll get just too salty. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the fridge. I've got halibut, salmon, and then I just washed these green onions up along with the carrots, so I'll get those in the fridge also. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cook up some of this meat for the week. This is sirloin steak, just 2 small ones. I can use these with like a salad for lunch or even with eggs for breakfast, and then 2 burgers. So I've got this, found this in my cabinet. It's just a garlic and herb seasoning. Now this doesn't have any salt in it, so I'm gonna go ahead and season both sides of the meat, but then I'm also gonna add some salt as well. I'm gonna heat up my skillet here with just a little bit of oil. I'll probably cook the steak first and then the burgers. Okay, so I've got my burgers and my steaks here. Those have just been resting. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them in some containers. And I did not cook these all the way through because obviously if you heat them back up again, they're gonna cook more. You don't want them to be overcooked. I wanna put together the miso marinade for the fish just because it'll make dinner so much easier tomorrow. So in this bowl, I've got 4 tablespoons of white miso paste. I'm gonna add some rice vinegar, no, that's dark, so I need to get the sesame oil out. That's dark soy sauce. I'm gonna use light soy sauce along with some sesame oil and then some of this Shaoxing cooking wine. Okay, so we need 2 tablespoons of this cooking wine. This is funny because I was looking at the bottle of this and I've ordered this on Amazon. It actually has 15.5% alcohol volume, which was delivered to me by Amazon, which is interesting. 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. You can hear my son screaming. It's because he's playing Fortnite, probably. And then 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Okay, so I'm gonna pour the miso marinade into this jar and then I'll just pop that in the fridge and I'll be ready to go when I'm ready to marinate my fish. So the next thing that I'm gonna prep is some fried rice, and I know this sounds like a weird thing to meal prep, but it's actually very good leftover, and I like to pack it in my kids' lunch in a hot thermos because it kind of breaks up the monotony of having a sandwich or a cold lunch every day. So I had a couple of containers of cold white rice in the refrigerator. I'm using my wok, just adding some vegetable oil to that, adding my green onions and some garlic. I saute that just for a few minutes, then add my eggs, which I seasoned with salt, pepper, and a little bit of sesame oil. I microwaved the cut up carrots and peas just for a little bit to make sure that they were a little bit soft since they wouldn't have probably cooked, especially the carrots, all the way in the wok. Add the cold rice and then kind of break it up and stir it around. Add soy sauce, sesame oil, stir, stir, stir. And then you can just kind of taste and season as you go. If you want to add hot sauce, you can do that. Adjust it to taste. Actually, Connor was getting home late from soccer this night, so I grabbed him a bowl and packed the rest away. Okay, so I'm packing the kids' lunches. I have Connor a turkey, cheese, and lettuce sandwich, some veggies, ranch, some, I was gonna say goldfish, but I think they're actually whale crackers. And then I packed Kira in a little thermos some of that fried rice, some grapes, and then I'm gonna do like a little yogurt parfait. And then I'm also making her just like a little egg bagel sandwich she can take and eat on the way to school. Okay, so for breakfast, I'm gonna have one of these chili verde breakfast burritos. So I'm just gonna heat that up real quick, and then I'm gonna have it with some of this guacamole salsa. All right, got my breakfast, filled up my water. I'm gonna go get back to work for the morning. Okay, so it's lunchtime, and I promise you this is delicious, even though it doesn't necessarily look the most appetizing. I got this from Hungry Root. It's like one of their ready-made meals. It's like beef, shredded beef with this delicious risotto and some veggies on the side. So I'm gonna eat my lunch while I continue to work. What are you making, Mom? I'm marinating the salmon. All right, so tonight is the night I am making that miso glazed fish. So I'm gonna make this coconut rice recipe out of a cookbook I have. Basically, you just replace some of the liquid in the recipe for your rice cooker with coconut milk. And so the ratio that I use is 2 cups of rice to 3 cups of liquid. I do always make sure to rinse my rice first, and then I just put the can of coconut milk in a measuring cup, add water to make 3 cups, put it in my Instant Pot rice cooker, which is my favorite, and set it to white rice. So this dinner was a little bit of a fail, but I still wanted to show it to you all. So I ended up getting like a pre-packaged package of mangoes from Walmart because they didn't have any single mangoes, and I didn't have time to go to the grocery store on this day to pick out my own. So this mango salsa was not as sweet as I normally would have liked it. I tried to save it by adding some mandarin oranges and some honey. It was fine, but it still didn't turn out the greatest. And then the fish, I used a recipe that I found online for miso glazed fish, which had you broil it in the oven. Against my better judgment, I definitely should have air fried it because I think it would have been better that way. I had some of these sumo oranges that we got from Hy-Vee. They're kind of expensive, but they're really good, and you don't see them around here that often. So I peeled some of those, and then these spring rolls I also got from Hungry Root. So we had that with the oranges and the fish and the rice and the mango salsa. And I definitely don't recommend this recipe, even though it turned out really pretty. The fish was tough. That was probably a little bit my fault. I probably overcooked it a little bit. Okay, so I was looking for a recipe where I could use up some of my blueberries and cream cheese, and then I also had a bunch of lemons in the fridge. So I found this recipe. It's a lemon blueberry cake. I'm not gonna make it a layer cake. I'm gonna make it a sheet cake, but all of the ingredients I happen to have on hand, which is great. So I went ahead and zested and squeezed 3.5 lemons. That's for the cake. And then I've had my butter and cream cheese sitting out here for a little bit in the eggs so they can come to room temperature. I got my baking sheet prepped. This is, I believe it's a 12 by 17 jelly roll pan. So I just sprayed it with the Baker's Joy cooking spray, which has flour, or baking spray rather, which has flour in it. Put a piece of parchment paper over there, a little bit more spray, that'll work great. And then in my stand mixer, I've got 1 stick of butter. I'm gonna go ahead and cream that. So I added in my white sugar. I'm gonna add in 1/2 cup brown sugar and continue creaming that together. I've got 4 eggs and some vanilla. I'm gonna go ahead and add those. Then we're gonna add 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil and continue beating this for about 3 minutes. I'm adding my 3 cups of flour. Okay, I'm adding my buttermilk, 3/4 cup of that, lemon juice. All right, I added the lemon zest, and then I've got 1.5 cups of blueberries here that I just tossed with a bit of flour. That just kind of helps the blueberries not to sink down to the bottom of the cake. So I'm gonna go ahead and gently fold this together so that we don't burst, or I was gonna say bust, crush. Sometimes my my Midwest vernacular comes out. And if you didn't grow your own blueberries, store-bought is fine. I gotta move my oven rack down because I was using the broiler yesterday. Okay, this is gonna go in the oven. And I've noticed that my oven heats a little bit unevenly, which I think is common. Like, it gets more hot towards the back left corner. So what I've been doing when I'm baking stuff is just rotating the pan halfway through. Okay, so after the cake cooled, I made the cream cheese frosting, which obviously turned out really good. How can cream cheese frosting be bad? This cake made so much. If I make this again, I'm definitely going to cut the recipe in half and make like a 9 by 13. The original recipe was supposed to be a layer cake, but I didn't want to mess with like frosting the layers and all of that. So that's why I made it in a sheet pan, but I totally should have cut it in half. However, this was a delicious cake. If you like lemon and blueberry and that combination together, I totally suggest that you make this. I will link the recipe down below. Tonight for dinner, I am making barbecue chicken with potatoes and carrots. So I got these fingerling potatoes from Hungry Root. I'm just slicing those in half and putting them in a bowl so I can toss them with olive oil, salt, and pepper. These are super convenient because they're already washed, so you don't have to really do anything to them besides cut them up if you want to. And then I put those onto a baking tray lined with parchment paper. I always make sure that the cut side is down so that part gets nice and crispy. And then for the barbecue chicken, all I did was thaw some chicken that I had in the freezer. I'm seasoning this with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and then what I do is I take a 9 by 13 dish. I'm using some of this barbecue sauce that I also got from Hungry Root, laying that in the bottom of the dish. And then what I like to do is just saute the chicken so it gets a little bit of a crust on it, but it's not all the way cooked through. And then I put it in the pan on top of the barbecue sauce, add some more barbecue sauce on top, and throw it into like a 400-degree oven for maybe like 10 minutes. And then all I did was cook the carrots, add some honey and some butter, and serve those with the chicken and the potatoes. And that was a super easy, delicious dinner. Okay, so tonight for dinner, I'm gonna make some fish cakes. I haven't made these in a while. My kids really like them. So I had some tilapia in the freezer that I thawed out, and I just put these on a baking sheet. I just season them with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, pepper, and then some Old Bay seasoning. And then I bake these in the oven for about 12, I think I put them in for 12 minutes at 400 degrees. And you can, I like to make these with tilapia because I feel like the fish flakes up really well, but you could really use any kind of fish that you wanted. I think it would be good with salmon or maybe cod as well. But what I like to do then is after these are cooked, I just kind of put them in a bowl and flake them so that they cool a little bit, because we're going to mix these with some breadcrumbs, egg, seasoning, and cook them in a skillet. Okay, so I have my fish all flaked up. I'm just stirring that around and letting it cool off because I don't want the egg to scramble when I put it in there. I like to add some lemon juice as well, so I'm gonna do that. And then I have these seasoned panko breadcrumbs. You could also use, I've used saltine cracker crumbs before. That works well. You could use regular breadcrumbs, whatever you have on hand. And then you definitely need something to bind this together. So I'm gonna use just one whole egg. If you don't have eggs on hand, you can also use a little bit of mayonnaise. I've done that before and it works well. Still feel like this mixture is a little bit too flaky, so I'm gonna go ahead and I have a little packet of mayonnaise I'm gonna add, along with a few more breadcrumbs. They do fall apart pretty easily, so you do have to be gentle with them, but I want to make sure they will stick together as much as possible. It's almost kind of like a crab cake, but oh yeah, that's better. So see, they will, you can form them into a patty, but then they do pretty easily break apart. So with this fish, I'm gonna make some green beans. I just have canned green beans in the pantry, so that's what we're gonna use. Put some butter in there, some salt. I'm gonna let those cook. And then I have a bunch of pearl couscous. If you guys have any favorite recipes for pearl couscous, let me know what they are, because I have a ton of it in my pantry that I need to figure out how to get through. I mean, I know it doesn't really expire, but I just have a ton in there. So I found this recipe online for like a garlic parmesan pearl couscous. So I just had in here a couple tablespoons of butter, some minced garlic, and then I'm just gonna brown up the couscous a bit. Okay, now that this is toasted a little bit, I'm gonna add 2 cups of chicken broth. And then I'm gonna bring this to a boil and turn it down to a simmer until all of the liquid is absorbed. So I've got a nonstick skillet here with some vegetable oil in the bottom. Now obviously the fish is already cooked, so we're just basically browning this on the outside. You do want to make sure that you coat the bottom of your skillet with oil though, because these will stick. Okay, so in order to keep these warm while I'm cooking the rest of them, I have a sheet pan in the oven here, just with some foil on it, and I have the oven just on low. So I'm gonna stick those cooked fish cakes in there while I make the rest. So I need to finish the couscous. Most of the liquid is absorbed, so I'm just adding about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I might add a little bit of lemon juice to this too. I'm gonna taste it, add salt and pepper, whatever it needs. Okay, so fish is done. I did add a little bit of lemon juice and some salt and pepper to this couscous. And we got our green beans. Yeah. If you want to check out Hungry Root and get 40% off your first box and get some free food this week, you can check out the link in the description box below. And if you want to see how I'm turning my house into a grocery store by stocking up my pantry, you can click on this video right here.